Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy June 30th, Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Looks like an interesting morning today. Not too much action so far pre-market, but a lot of nice things are possibly setting up for us. So let's go back to the SPY. Yesterday we talked about two consecutive ascending wedge patterns, right, potentially forming. The second one, well, yesterday we didn't quite get a very convincing breakout. We got what looks like a doji on the daily time frame. All right, to remove these drawings for a second, we can see, right, pretty nice doji on very thin volume. So we know that from our candlesticks, right, this is a relatively neutral, like, price action, right, and with very thin volume. So this isn't exactly telling to me. It doesn't exactly convince me that we're going to get a flush or a dump, right, or sorry, we're going to get a flush or a pump. So I think there's a little bit of potential to play this in either direction still. I mean, bullish case is going to start for a break above this all-time highs, right? You're looking for a break above this 428.60, right? Low vol pullback or full body bullish candle, something along those lines, and then go. And then your downside action is sort of that 427 area towards 425.90. So you have like a little bit more than $1 to the downside. Before maybe you can play something else. So I think there's a little bit of action or a little bit of potential in either direction here on the SPY. With quarter end being today, you could see a little bit of selling pressure, and certainly what you saw in Asia and Europe overnight. So I wouldn't be necessarily too surprised to see sellers step in and push price down a little bit here today, right? The ascending wedge pattern can hold up in either direction, and if this thing breaks down to the downside, well, it's going to act as downside pressure for now, right? With these multiple trend line patterns, right, you can trade these in either direction. Just at the moment we seem to be closer to that breakout versus breakdown. All right, so let's move on to QQQ. Right, QQQ still has that breakout holding really well, another full body bullish, or right, sort of a mix between the second most bullish and most bullish candle. Right, so pretty strong day again. Very little selling pressure at the top of the range, but again, no big gap up here this morning. I'd like to see this thing pop and go. We can really get out of here, right? Then we can get that low ball pullback and start flying. Tech has continued to remain very strong this week. I'd be interested to see if that can that sort of theme can continue for us. Downside, kind of bearish. Under, call it, there's like 353.90, right? And that's got about $1.50 room towards that 352.50, right? So it's got a little bit of room to play with to the downside. So you can be patient waiting for your confirmation. Right, for myself, it's going to be a low vol pullback and then go. So you want to see, right, that level break. See how strong the defenders are of that level, and then when they are proven to be weak, right, that's when we enter. That's when we want to chase down. So we have conviction that we're going to get some follow through, right? When we know that strength, right, is actually weakness, then we know we're going to get that follow through. All right, Apple, really similar story to SPY, right? We got nice levels to play with in either direction. If we're going to play this wedge break, right, I think I want to play this above that 137 area, 137.10. That's got $1 upside to the first area, right? If we look at to the left-hand side here, right, we got a few possible profit target zones. So we're just kind of picking something a little bit kind of in the middle, right? In a perfect world, we're going to go for that like 140 target, but I think we maybe settle down a little bit and go for this like 138.80 area, right? Still gives us a lot of room to play with, right? Wedge break, we've already got our setup triggered here, right? So as long as we can kind of hold yesterday's open or yesterday's close, sorry, right, and then get that momentum through, I'm happy to enter on a level break of this 137.10, right? If we struggle a little bit and we dilly-dally a little bit, then I'm going to want to wait for an extra layer of confirmation kind of above this area before we take a test. So Tesla, very similar to Apple. I think setup of the day is probably going to be to the downside. What we got here, right, is what's called an inside day. So, candle within previous day's high, previous day's low. And this is sort of You can almost look at this as like 3 consecutive ones. Now, this June 28th one, not exactly perfect, not exactly textbook, because we broke out on the upper range, but very much everything else sort of is. So this is a nice, really coil. What that tells me is that price is consolidating. Tesla's getting ready for a move. It might not be ready for the pop yet, but it certainly looks like it wants to go. I think there's a couple scenarios we can play with to the downside today. There's really, really nice risk reward under the 676 towards that 688, right? If we can get that really tight risk reward there right off the opening bell, low vol pullback and go, that could be a lot of fun. My favorite possible play though is this gap down, right? If we can get this gap down to the downside, that'll be a blast. On these gap downs, you don't necessarily need to wait for a low vol pullback. These can move really, really quickly. So you just want to see a show of strength going into an area of zero resistance, right? We know that there's very, very minimal resistance here in between the 676 to 657 area. So we want to see us get in on like a full body bearish candle, right? Something that looks like, you know, something like this, right? So like this red candle here, right? So if you see like a strong red candle on that entry, right, I'd be happy to enter on something like that. If we get, you know, you're entering on a candle that looks like this 1505 one, right, this is something that you would like to avoid. You know, this is not a candle that you want to be chasing down in. So you want something that's, you know, full body, right? So if we go to our cheat sheet, right, we want to be entering on this most bearish, second most bearish, or normal bearish candles. Any of these neutral ones, probably not as strong. Even this normal body bearish, right, might give me a little bit of pause if the volume is thin, right? So if we go back here now to the upside, some nice plays too, right? Same concept goes to the upside, right? We've had nice consolidation inside day, so we can get this pop above that 698 area, right? We could get that real big move towards that 716. There might be a level here, right, the 706. But I think with all this inside days and all this consolidation, I think we kind of blast through that area and it can really, really move. $15 would be pretty expected or well appreciated, I think, from this Tesla move. My only concern on the bull case is that, you know, we're right at the psych level, right? So we're kind of, you know, we're right around that 700 target. So you want to see how things react there. I'm not necessarily calling that it's going to break down at 700, but I would like to see how it reacts. So maybe the move on this wedge break, right? We know that setup is a break of the trend line, and then our confirmation is a break of this horizontal line. So maybe you wait for that to be a little bit above 700, you know, like a 701, 702, something like that. And then same concept to the downside, right? You enter on a full body bullish, right? A normal body bullish, something along those lines. You don't want to enter on a candle that's showing you relative weakness. All right, so final one of the day, Microsoft looks very similar to QQQ, right? Where we're getting back-to-back really strong candle days, right? On relatively decent volume. I love that the volume's increasing yesterday. I think that's a nice little outlier to deal with in Microsoft. The bull case is going to begin above that 271.76, right? Then we want to see that low vol pull back and go. Bear case is going to be a breakdown. You maybe have two possible bear cases, right? So you get a nice reversal candle here, right? Breakdown and go. Or you get that 267.50 break towards that 265.69 area. I think those are both very playable moves, and you'd like to see possible action that way. So let's quickly go over some Bollinger Band plays here, right? Not seeing anything here at the moment. So what we were looking for with the Bollinger Bands, right, is always a reversion to the mean. So you want to open up outside for bear case, right? Open up outside, close inside, and then your target is midline, bottom line. We're not really seeing any of those ideas, right, come to fruition yet. We could get a possible breakout, right, if the momentum is strong this morning. But it doesn't seem to be like what's the path of least resistance at the moment, right? Path of least resistance to be following those patterns. So I think it makes more sense to kind of continue to watch those and see how they set up for us before we chase any of these moves. I mean, this Tesla one, right, Bollinger Bands is telling us as well, this, as these get tighter, right, that's another sign of consolidation, right? And so we're seeing on the daily, right, we're consolidating sort of above here right after a big breakout. So you're going to expect, see this tightening up. And we can see that on the 30-min time frame, how this is, after that breakout day, right? This range has gone considerably tighter. So if you get a breakout in this tight range, right, that could be a lot of fun to trade as well. And then finally, Microsoft, right? We're not getting anything here that's looking like it's going to set up, like it's going to open outside, close inside. So we'll be happy to just avoid these Bollinger Band plays for now and wait for them to come back into play. So that's sort of what I'm looking at so far at pre-market. Today is Wednesday, so Wednesdays are free live stream days. So I hope everyone who watches this video can join me today. Top trade idea of the day is 100% Tesla, right? We have plays for this on either direction. So the Tesla puts, right, under this 667 towards that 657, and I'll start looking for entries under this 675. Right, if I can get a nice low vol pullback under the 675, I think that's a lot of fun. So have a really good Wednesday, everyone. Right, best of luck out there and happy hunting.